Welcome to another episode of Tres Leches Radio, representing 1/3 of the podcast. Is yours truly, Mr. Brad. So, gentlemen, what's going on?
What's up?
We here. Happy Saturday, y'all.
Oh yeah, peace and blessings indeed.
Peace and love.
And as always, we're gonna properly introduce our guests. But before we do, as always, you can find us at Tres Leches Radio on anything. You can even stream us at Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon Music. And with that said, B-Stacks, we got another special guest, man. Why don't you introduce him?
We do, man. I want to shout out real quick to So Far Sounds. That is the platform that we met and heard this young gentleman and new up and coming indie artist. It was a night to for sure remember. Koof Knox, Christina Elise, who we had previously on the show, rocked on that stage. And Ty was the actual headliner. He finished the night out. And that
was a lot of fun.
We had a hell of a good time, man. And that was basically the genesis to how we got here. We're gonna between and what you got going on. But welcome, man. Welcome to the platform.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Welcome, Ty Mathis. Welcome.
Yeah, this is it's definitely an honor to be on here. So I actually just got done doing a music video right now for one of my songs. I was like outside all morning.
Which song?
Yeah, so it's called The Garden, and it's off of my latest album, Universe Boundless.
Okay.
Yeah, nice, so I actually played that at the City Winery show where we all met. Yeah, I think that was the last song I did that night. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So and you just did the video. Is it a one-day shoot thing? Like it's done, it's just got to be edited, or is it a multi-day?
Today was actually the last day of the shooting. So we've been working on it like pretty much all month, like all November, and then I think I had like 4 or 5 like filming days for it. So today was like the final day, and there's a lot of cool stuff in it. Like what we were working on today was like, I had my drums out because I'm actually a multi-instrumentalist. So I had my drum set up, my bass and guitar, and I pretty much played all of them like throughout the song. And the way he's gonna edit it is to where it's like a band just full of me. You know what I mean? Like
it's also gonna be a cool edit. Yeah. Like you're playing at the same time. Like it's gonna look like it's okay. There you go.
Yeah, like a live. Like as if they cloned me or something.
Which is like Nutty Professor when they're all in one shot. Yeah, like
like as you're getting to that point. So when we first saw you, you didn't have the band with you. You were solo.
Yep. Yeah, that was just solo.
But you had, and correct me if I'm wrong, you had pre-recorded your instrumental background.
Yep.
Live.
So the day of that show, I actually did something different. I actually recorded like all the backing tracks to my songs that day. Like I recorded the drums, the bass, and keys and everything, just so I could play. But I actually do have a full band as well called the Ty Mathis Express, which we now have a drummer, keyboardist, and a bassist, which is pretty cool. Yeah,
did that come from necessity too? You're like, hey, I can't always be like you can clearly play a lot of things, but was that also partially necessity? Like you needed to delegate a bit, like, hey, I need somebody who could do this, and
eventually you need other people to help you out too. Yeah, even if you can play everything and do like the tracks. I was just at the point where I was like, you know what? There's nothing like bringing real musicians to the stage. You know what I mean? Just like having that energy, sharing that cosmic feeling, you know what I mean? Just of all the different energies flowing, and just every musician has a different style that they add to it. And it just like everything kind of everybody brings something different to the table too. You know what I mean? Even though they're kind of playing it note for note, everyone has their own like musical personality too. And it's just something fun to kind of feed off of when you're playing live.
Yeah, you were able to establish. You were basically you were basically able to pick out like your paintbrushes, your which colors you want to use. Like you were basically like in that regard, you get to pick before the canvas, which becomes the output. So that's
really
awesome.
Cool. Yeah, because I always see the song like the studio version is kind of like the canvas, And then like, because I'm the type of artist that likes to really color it up live. I like to, like, every performance is different. I'm always playing different stuff, like different guitar solos, different vocal runs, like different vocal melodies. But it's like still the same song, but there's just these subtle changes in it.
It's
That's
one of
just
those
like ear
things. Yeah.
candy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know what?
So
That makes
it's
it,
really
you know what? I
cool.
think that gives it it's one of those like you have to go to his show because how you heard it here,
Right.
you may not hear it like this here. You're not getting the same
Yeah,
thing. Yeah.
that's
So it
why.
keeps the
Mhm.
ear guessing, it keeps the ear
Yeah, it
engaged.
keeps you wanting more. Yeah. So there'll
Yeah.
be like times like if I have a 3-night run at a place, sometimes there'll be people that come out that they're like, oh man, I came out tonight because I heard what Ty did last night, and like maybe he'll do this song a different way tonight, or like maybe he'll play this song he hasn't played in a while. You know what I mean? So I like the idea, like, because that's my favorite thing about music artists. Like when I go out to see them live, it's like this sounds a little different than the studio version, or like
Mhm.
there might be a small detail in the song that they put a lot of emphasis on in the live version. So
Yeah.
like I like all the small stuff that different artists will do, stuff that like you'll notice live, and different
Yeah, you're
energy
like, that's
live
not
too.
that's not the CD version. I'm just dating myself when I said CD, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's not the studio version. Let me say
Right,
that. It's
yeah.
not the studio. Yeah. So yeah.
Yes, he did have
Right.
by the way.
Yeah.
Well, Brent's got a lead-in question for you, but I just
Yep.
had a quick question for you as well. So
Yeah.
we're at the Fire in Philly, and you performed there about like a week and a half.
Yeah, that was a great show.
We couldn't make it down, unfortunately, but it seems like it was hella cool. But where
Yeah, it
actually
was.
is your base, man?
So I'm actually based out of Newark, Delaware.
Oh, Delaware.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, I'm down here in Delaware right now.
The 302. 302.
Yep, 302.
Oh, yeah. Shout out to Tony. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you know what, man? I'm so glad you just said that, because if it wasn't for Tony, like I probably wouldn't be on here right now.
Oh,
Yeah,
Tony was
Yeah.
the
like a
plug.
circle.
Oh.
Yeah,
because
Tony
Tony
is super
saw me.
cool. Yeah,
It's
and he
funny
was like,
'cause,
he was like, that's my friend Lorenzo right there. And then we all started talking after the show, and I was like, man, it was a perfect, like a great synchronicity. I was
for
telling him
sure.
that. I was like, man, you never know who you're gonna meet. And Tony's super cool because he comes out to like all of my shows, and he's just been such a huge help, and he's such a great music listener as well. Like he has such good taste in music, and he's introduced me to so many great music artists. And like the cool thing is, like, I'll tell him, I'm like, there's been some music he's introduced me to where it actually inspired me to write certain music. And so I was talking to him one day, and I was like, man, there's this one song you showed me, and that actually inspired this song right here that we're listening to off one of my albums.
Oh, okay.
Which is
Look at
super
that.
cool.
Yeah. So, yeah, but right, like because inspiration, right, it's one of those, and you would know better than me, right? Like it can happen whenever, it can come from wherever.
Yeah.
There is no one lane for it. Like, like you didn't,
Right.
you heard it and then it just went, oh, you know what? Boom. Yeah.
Yeah. And see, it's always good to act on inspiration too.
Strike
See,
while
I
the
feel
iron's
like-
hot, like type of approach.
I also think that like as humans, there's always things around us that can inspire us. And it's just like being open enough to the universe, you know what I mean? To be able to receive the information, or to just be in the moment, and to be like, okay, just observe all the beauty that's around you. Because I think a lot of my inspiration just comes from just life and the beauty of life, and just really beautiful music too.
Yeah.
But I think it's good when you can just kind of be open and just be like, okay, if a little melody comes in my head, I'm just gonna go on like my recorder on my phone and just record it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you save
Record
it
a little,
properly, yeah.
save it, yeah. And a lot of the time, what I like to do is like, if I do have a cool idea, I'll just act on it as soon as I can, and just like try to create it into a song. Because
for sure.
I know that, because I'm the type of person that like I'm always writing stuff. So if I'm like, say I come up with like a cool idea, by the time I get to that, I probably came up with like 3 more ideas. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
you gotta, like why you don't want to. Now let me ask you this: have
Hmm.
you ever like like an idea came? Was there ever one where you were just like, I'll do this later, and then it left, and then you were like, shit, or no? Like every time it comes,
See,
like maybe you fell asleep, because you were just like you were tired. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you're shooting the video, you're recording. Like at some point you have to go to sleep. So did an idea ever come to you like before? Like maybe you're laying in bed, but then you just went out cold, and you're like,
what?
damn it, like.
I had never had that happen. Well, it probably did happen at one point, but the weird thing is that sometimes music comes to me when I'm sleeping. Yeah, so like I'm working on another album right now. My 5th studio album is called Rising.
Okay.
And the title track to that album actually came to me in like I was taking a little power nap. It was like a 20-minute power nap before a show. And it was such a short nap. It was really a tease, but I had like a dream during this really short nap. And in the dream, I was actually playing my guitar. And the crazy thing is that I was playing my guitar in the dream and like playing a song. And it was a song idea. So I was literally just like recording it or trying to record it, like get the idea out in my dream. And the wild thing about it was that, so I'm in my dream, like trying to like record this song idea. And then my phone's not recording it in the dream.
You're like, what's going on? Like, no.
Right. It's not working. So I hurry up and wake up, and I was like, great. So the song was like still in my head. So I just like rushed downstairs, pick up my phone, record a little demo, and then I have to shoot right up to my gig. I play the gig, and then I come back home, and I just start playing this, and I start building on this song. And I kind of wrote the whole concept to the album about it, about this one song. Yeah, and it's the basis of the album is just like, it's called Rising, and it's just like a really uplifting album, really to help uplift people, no matter where you're coming from, no matter where you've been. Just it's time to rise. You know what I mean? The energy is shifting on the planet, and I just want people to rise their vibrations to a higher level. You know what I mean? A lot of it has to do with that. And it comes from a few different, it's a really spiritual album too. And it's really just about focusing on the beauty of life and using our power that we have within us to rise to a higher level of consciousness.
No
that is a hell of a way to sell like that, that's how the album got created, like from a dream, and like that kicked it off. Wow.
Yeah, man.
Wow,
It's
looking
crazy.
forward to that.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
You have 5 studio albums now. When we like look you up and stream it, I think 3 come up.
Yep. So I have Change of Weather, and then Quasar. That's my 2nd album. That one's mostly like instrumentals. Yeah. And then after that, I have Double Your Fun. That's like a full album. And then Universe Boundless, that's my latest album. Right. And then, so Rising isn't out yet, but it will be out soon. Like I'm actually like in the studio right now working on it. And it's a pretty big album too. So it might be a double album.
Oh, there we go.
Pretty cool. Yeah, so it might be
out. Yeah.
Yeah, because I thought I was done the album, and then I pretty much wrote a whole nother album in the meantime. And I was like, you know what? This could be another album down the way, but at the rate that I'm writing music, I might as well just do a double album just so it can like kind of encapsulate everything I'm doing right now.
Yeah, because the lightning in the bottle. Yeah, like
right. Yeah. Because if I save this for a later time, like I think that who knows what I'll probably have hundreds of more songs by then. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're like your feelings, your thoughts, where you'll be at. Like there's no truer moment. It sounds like for you, there's no truer moment for that to come out than the now, right? Like the idea comes in, you put it down. Like its potency of how you'll get it out would be at like that 100% when you do it in that moment. And I mean that's how I hear it, right? Like
that's exactly how I feel. Yeah, because it's like all the stuff I do is just comes down to the present moment, really. So like a lot of the stuff I do, I try to just get it out like right when I'm still in that feeling of the album. You know what I mean? Just keep nurturing that feeling, kind of give it like just stay in that headspace of like where I was when I originally like wrote the song. You know what I mean?
It was stream of consciousness, you know.
Yep, the same
like
consciousness,
in a
same
sense.
state.
Yeah, put it all right there, right then and there when it's, you know, fresh before you start trying to edit it or make changes where it might not be as organic. You know.
Yeah, and that's the crazy thing about being like just an independent artist, like because I actually play like everything on my studio albums, like guitar, bass, drums, and keyboard, and vocals too. So thanks. So when I'm doing all that, it's like you get to a point where like I'm always making alternate versions and stuff like that, just trying to like tweak it, and then I'll find a cool part in the song. It's like, well, why don't I just take this part and build a song from this? So like I get to a point sometimes where I'm just have to be like, okay, this is done.
You hear that with a lot of artists. Sometimes you got to pull the material away from people, like they like because otherwise the artists, everybody's their own worst critic. Like you're like there may be that whole chasing the perfection, and you may have perfection 3 times, but you're still doing it 10 more times, and like you know,
and that happened a lot with this album. Like I've made like so many different alternate takes of songs. So the best thing that I do is like I'll just show some to my friends and my family, and they'll be like, Ty, this is really good. You should keep this. And then I'll show them a new version, and then they're like, Ty, I love this, but are you still gonna include the original version on the album too? So I'm like, oh no. I'm like, I don't know.
You have to make a B-sides project. You know
what? So the outtakes and everything.
And I looked at your EPs, and this may be a reach of a question, but I looked. There was a certain sequence when I was looking at the EPs. Right, you had Change of Weather in 2020.
Yep.
You had Quasar in 2021, and then Universe Boundless was this year. When I looked at the titles, and I could be way off here, but it was just something that jumped out at me. Change of Weather, you know, like I look at that title, Change of Weather. That's something, you know, we say here on Earth. Quasar, you know, I think that's like a black hole in space.
Yeah.
Universe Boundless is the universe, is everything. Every title felt like you're just getting further and further out there. That's how I interpreted it. Was that was just my interpretation. This is one of the rare times I get to ask the artist about the creative process. Was that intentional, or you know, did I just eat the wrong batch of brownies? Like, you know what I mean?
So the funny thing about it is that it wasn't intentional, maybe subconscious. So the wild thing about it is that like I've been really getting into spirituality. So I think that like Change of Weather was kind of like in the beginning stages of that, like me kind of diving in deeper, like within myself. So I think that all of my music has been reflecting like the state of consciousness that I've been in as a person, you know what I mean? Just trying to rise to different levels of consciousness, and not even just that, but the more spiritual I get, I think that just reflects in my music too.
Right.
So a lot of stuff like that has just really reflected in it. Like when you look at it, it's like, oh wow, this almost looks like it was planned, but it's crazy because it just happens to be like what I'm inspired by at the time. And Change of Weather is actually, when I wrote it, I didn't really write it with too much of an idea in mind. A lot of it's more like metaphorical, I think, just to do with like the climate that was going on in the world at the time.
Right.
Yeah, with like COVID going on and everything like that. And the only thing I could say was just like, man, it's just a change of weather. You know what I mean? I was just walking around.
Captured the feeling,
Right. It's just a change of weather, baby. So I would just walk around saying that, and eventually it blossomed into an album.
And so what is the time? Because I remember one of your reels you had on there, you kind of explain your music being evolution music.
Yeah.
So does that kind of tie with that, with like these titles and where you're feeling as far as elevating with the spirituality aspect, you know, relate into the music itself?
Yeah. So the whole idea of the evolution music is just me. So there's a lot of aspects to it. I would say the first one is just like me not being bound to like a certain genre, because I'm inspired by like so many different types of music. So like that's one aspect of the evolution music. Just whatever kind of music I'm writing, that's what I'll kind of put out. And the other aspect is just like you can hear the evolution in my work as well. Like I don't want to limit myself to like just being an artist that writes about like love songs or just about breakups or something like that. But as opposed to, I just want to be able to write about where I'm at in life. So like every time you hear something that I record, it's all based off of like, it kind of takes you to like the time that I was in my life at that point. And like you can hear my musical capabilities at the time, and like how like I evolved as a musician too, like because I'm always putting my ultimate best into every album. So like you can hear like the evolution of my like showmanship or musicianship rather, the lyrics too. You can hear how like the lyrics evolve, and really I think that one of the biggest things for it is just like how it all correlates together when you kind of see like, wow, this right here, the music, the whole idea of genres, like where is this eventually gonna go? Like, see, I don't even know what it's evolving to, you know what I mean? I think it's just about like holding yourself to a standard, like having your goals and your burning desires within you, just keeping that somewhere up high, but also just knowing where you want to be as a person too, you know what I mean? So there's a lot of different aspects to it, but it's cool because the whole idea of the evolution, it's like just rising to a higher level, I guess, that makes more sense, or that suits me as a person, something that like kind of letting go of limitations as well, you know what I mean? Not being limited, but
and true to form, his next album is titled Rising, so he said rising right there.
Rising higher.
Couldn't have better. There you go. True to form, that's the next album title.
So let me ask you this, so how do we get to this point here? So I remember you talking about being genres, like when me and B-Sax came to the show, we didn't know anything about you. You know, we all through Strength of Coupe Knots, you know, and everything else. So, but you know, first hearing you come, I got the Jimi Hendrix vibes. I got some of the Prince vibes, especially when you play multiple instruments. Like, so I know, I know, life itself inspires you. But what inspired you to even say, you know what, I want to pick up this guitar. I want to start doing vocals. I want to start messing with the drums. Like, what got you to that point?
Awesome. So when I was really young, so I think I was about like, when I was first like realized what music was, I was probably like 3 or 4. And like my mom was always playing a lot of music. And she's actually, I think if it wasn't for my mom, I wouldn't be sitting here talking about like evolution music, because she was always listening to every type of music. I mean, she still is like that today. Like she'll listen to hip hop, rock, like classic rock, gospel, soul, country. So just listening to that from a young age is really what like sculpted me. And just like, she's a really big music lover, and she would start playing some music. And my first favorite music artist was actually, well, I really liked Usher when I was young. And then shortly down the line, she introduced me to Tom Petty. So I started listening to Tom Petty. And I also had like a guitar. It was like a cheap guitar. I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just kind of playing by ear. And I was probably like 6 or 7 at this time. And like all throughout my childhood, I was always very musical. And like people probably thought I took lessons or something on the guitar, but I was actually, up until I was 11, I was just like learning stuff by ear and just like learning stuff from other people that were around me. And then when I was 11, I was put into a rock school called School of Rock. And that really changed my life. And it was super cool. Like it was called School of Rock, and we would have like weekly lessons. So I would like take lessons like once a week, and then we would practice for like 3 months for a show. So like every 3 months we would have like a really big like show, and there were like lots of people there, like 30 plus people involved in these shows. And we would be able to pick like what show we wanted to be in. So like we could pick like any band, like Led Zeppelin, the Beatles, Kiss. And like for 3 months we would just kind of practice, like do a big practice every weekend with everyone in it, run through the songs, get locked in. And then we would have these performances. And like the people that went to School of Rock, see, I was like 11, and a lot of the people there were a little bit older than me. So like I was catching up in a way, you know what I mean, from people that were like doing this for their whole life. So I had a lot to learn at that time. I was still really young, but it kind of forced me to learn a lot in a short amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
And the cool thing about it all was that I think the biggest thing that inspired me to like pick up the guitar and to really be who I am today as a musician was when I first heard Led Zeppelin.
Okay.
Yeah, Jimmy Page from Led Zeppelin, man. So like all throughout my middle school years and high school years, like I was so inspired by all these music artists from back in the day, like CCR, Led Zeppelin, the Beatles, and all the greats from back in the day. Like I was kind of into the music of today, but like when I was younger, I wouldn't even give it a chance. All I was listening to was like music from the 60s and 70s and like some of the stuff from the 80s. And what I would do
in music, yeah.
It definitely was, yeah.
They don't got old soul vibe, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Yeah. That's what everyone always says. They're like, "How you got an old soul?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I know it, man." Yeah, I feel it. And I would listen to all this music every day after school, and like I would watch videos of them, and I would just close my eyes and pretend like I was like Jimmy Page or like Jimi Hendrix, and I would just rock out for hours. And then somewhere in my early high school years, I started like actually writing music. I started like writing stuff on guitar and like coming up with lyrics and stuff. And like I've never actually taken vocal lessons. I'm kind of like a self-taught singer and also keyboard too. I mean, but that's also like one of the beauties of like the 21st century is you can kind of like learn stuff easily, like with all the stuff we have on the internet and like YouTube and stuff.
Yeah, a lot of resources. Yeah,
like a lot of resources. Yeah. So that's a beautiful thing. So I was learning a lot that way, just like looking up how to play different chords on the piano. And then so I started writing music, and I was writing songs. Like I would write like a song a day for years, or at least 4 songs a week if I had the time. So I've written so many songs in my life to get to the point where I'm at now. And like all throughout high school, I had different bands that I would like go to play gigs at like local bars and stuff like that. It's kind of like the same thing that I'm doing now, but like it was on a smaller scale. And I would just play out as much as I could, always try to find good musicians to play with. And so the biggest thing that kind of got me to this point where I'm at now, I think, was just like being so inspired by all the greats from back in the day.
Yeah, true student of the game, you know.
Yeah, like all of those original guys, like Jimi Hendrix, Rory Gallagher, who else? Neil Young. He's one of my all-time favorites.
Oh, yeah,
Neil Young. He has a really big place in my heart because his music is like, it's so different, and I really respect what he does because he also played with Crosby, Stills, and Nash, and he would always follow his heart. Like wherever he wanted to go, like sometimes he would even cancel a tour like with other people or just like leave the tour midway. He's like, "Man, I have an idea. I have to go to the studio, or I want to do this." Wow. So he kind of always does what he's feeling. Yeah.
And the craft before the bag. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a cool thing. I'm really inspired by him and just the way that he was always releasing a lot of different music, like sometimes like 2 or 3 albums a year. So it's a lot of work right there. So I'm just really inspired by guys like that. And I was always holding myself, even to today, like I'm always holding myself to like the standard that the musicians from back in the day were holding themselves to. Kind of like just really following the feeling, you know what I mean? Following my soul with whatever I'm doing, but also just making sure that I can, like when I record my stuff, I make sure like I'm not just like overdubbing stuff, not just like tracking stuff. I make sure like my musicianship is where I want it to be. Like I'll record my stuff from beginning to end. So I'm not just like piecing stuff together. Just pretty much doing it the same way that like a lot of my favorite music artists were doing it back in the day as well. You know what I mean? But there's so much to list when I think about like what actually like led me up to this point. A lot of it really is my like family and my friends like inspire me with like music that they listen to, and life events as well, and just as I said earlier, just kind of like seeing the beauty in life all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yo, B-Stack, he listed a lot of his inspirations and stuff. You think it's a good time to hit him with the with the question?
yeah. So you kind of beat us to the punch a little bit. So your main instrument is the guitar. That's prevalent and pretty obvious. So we're going to give you 4 legendary guitar players, and you got to make the decision whether you're going to start, bench, cut, or retire one.
I like this. Okay, cool. That sounds fun. Sweet.
For sports to just make it feasible. So I like that you throw out Jimmy Page there from Led Zeppelin. So we're not even going to use him. We got Eric Clapton.
Okay.
Prince.
I love Prince.
Jimi Hendrix. Santana.
Oh man, I love Santana.
You got to start, bench, cut, and retire one.
Okay. I think the idea of retiring one is so funny. Oh my god.
We can look at it different ways with the retirement, though.
No, I know.
Retire means stop playing.
Right. Maybe
or you just do
cut means you can play on your own, but you can't sit with us.
Right, they'll just play for themselves. Yeah. Okay, cool. Wait, what are the options again?
All right, so start. So your starter.
Cut one, bench one, retire one.
Okay.
You start, bench, cut, retire,
and cut one too. So
and then it's Eric Clapton, Santana, Prince, and Jimi Hendrix are your choices.
Yeah, I got to put Jimi Hendrix as number 1.
So he's the starter.
He's the man. Sometimes he's so good, like he's so like deeply rooted within me, to where a lot of times I don't even bring him up as like my favorite. Primarily because
like, this should be known.
Right. He's a music god. And the funny thing is that at every concert I play, there's always a few people that are like, man, you remind me so much of Jimi Hendrix.
That's gotta feel like
right. It's a really nice compliment. So I also don't bring it up because I do have the fro and everything. I play the guitar, and like I don't want people to think like I'm trying to be like Jimi Hendrix. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I don't really mention him too much. But yeah, so for the next one, the next on my list, I think my favorite would have to be Carlos Santana.
So he gets bench. Like you're keeping him, but he's on the bench. Yeah.
He's your 6th man.
Right. Yeah. He's the second. Okay. So after that. this
is cut, meaning, maybe another team will pick you up, but you're not on this team.
Right. Okay, so we had Hendrix, Santana, Prince, and Clapton.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Damn. Okay.
No pressure.
Yeah. So you know what I'm gonna do? I love Prince. Prince is one of my all-time favorites. He is a big inspiration to me. I love his music as well, and I actually just started to like dive into his music. This year, I was watching some clips on YouTube. It's called Tales from the Tour Bus. I don't know if you guys heard of it, but it's so cool. And they have like a lot of like little short clips, like animated clips, like little cartoon clips of like Prince and Rick James and like Parliament Funkadelic. Like they have like these little short clips of like the highlights in their career and stuff. And it was cool because I really got to know more about Prince and like his contributions to music, man. And he's a legend, even if you put the music aside, just like with the business aspect of it.
He's very vocal about the business side.
Ownership, masters,
Definitely. So I'm inspired with him a lot on that end. I also think he's one of the most underrated guitarists of all time.
Easily.
He's so underrated. I mean, just as a songwriter too. He's also a phenomenal bassist too. And like before he was doing like more of the pop stuff, he was actually doing a lot of jazz fusion. Like in the late 70s, like 76, 77. And he would just play all the instruments himself, and he did a phenomenal job.
And apparently he's decent at basketball.
Oh, really?
Pancakes.
That's if you saw the Dave Chappelle skit. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's funny.
So
Yeah.
Prince he's your cut choice?
Or is he retired? That's off his.
Is he cut or retire? Yeah.
Man, well, if he was
he
still
can retire
alive,
him, and that's not disrespect, you know.
Yeah. See, it's hard to say, man. I really do love him, but see, it's crazy because he's not around anymore, so it is kind of like he is retired in a way.
So you could default him to the retire category, right? Just
I could do that, but I feel like I kind of want to play by the rules a little more. I want to pretend like he is still alive in a sense.
Okay.
And in that sense, I have to realize like the artists that actually shaped my career, Prince is I think his influence will show on like the work that I'm about to release now, actually, because I didn't get into him until more recently. Like I've always respected his music, but I didn't actually like dive deep into him until this year, really. But my new music that's not out yet will reflect it. So I have to say, I will place him in a different category. You know what I mean? Because he doesn't have as much of a profound effect as the other guys did.
So so start bench cut. Is there like so he's a substitute? Like just
in a sense.
So I don't know what the other category.
So
I'm just
for now in order to pick him back up later off free agency then, or off the waivers.
Right, yeah. Something like that. Because it's like you kind of have to time travel in a sense. And you can be like, okay, wow, now I see it. But well, you know what? Damn. See, when I think of Eric Clapton is really good, don't get me wrong, but I never really got into him like as much as everyone else has. I do really like his playing. And I like him when he was with Cream. I think Cream was a great band. But when I listen to his stuff, I mean, he's more of like a bluesy guitarist, and he's great at what he does. And I don't get much inspiration from his playing. I think he's really reserved in what he does. I like how he kind of really has his playing down to a science. I think that's really cool. And like he plays the right notes when they need to play. He doesn't like overplay. He kind of just he's a craftsman when it comes to his solos and stuff like that. I think he's truly a craftsman. And I think the direction that music is going today is in a much different way than that. People are still crafting things. Now, I don't know if a lot of musicians I think some musicians will agree with me on this. And now, like, my thoughts are always changing about music and everything. But I think that as of now, in the music scene that we're in, I think that blues music has evolved into, it's not like the traditional style blues that we hear all the time, you know what I mean, that has been done so much. It's more or less like the same as kind of how jazz has evolved. Like, yeah, you do have the jazz standards and everything, but it's evolved into like a lot of crazy genre fusion with lots of different stuff, with more really technical stuff. And I think that style of playing is still here, but it's kind of like evolved into just something completely different. The same way people were probably talking about like music from like the 30s when they were in the 1960s, you know what I mean? They're like, yeah, these are our influences, but that stuff is retired now. Look what it blossomed into.
Oh, you said retired. I mean? So is this a retirement home you're saying for
yeah, I think so. And it's not really just his playing in particular. I think it's kind of like they paved the way for a lot of other people as artists. But you look at how like the scene is in music today and the stuff that they're doing or that they were doing, that made them so good. I mean, they can still get away with it as a music artist because that was their like claim to fame. I think that the way the younger generation is playing now, I mean, you have really young artists like playing guitar that are absolutely just killing it. Like they're doing like all the traditional blues licks and stuff like that. But the other stuff that they're doing, like the melodies, it's not just like based off of like a certain scale or something like that. Like people are really just making really beautiful, colorful melodies, merging in like more other stuff with the genres as well. So I think that's kind of my take on that. But don't get me wrong, I do love Eric Clapton. I think he's
we don't take disrespect. It's like they can bask in their glory.
Right.
And when you talk about that type of stuff, I think like her, with the guitar and how she kind of improv and everything.
Yeah. So I think that it's kind of like not just him. I think it's actually the reality of it. It's kind of a lot of players from back in the day. I mean, they all have a legacy that lives on forever, but we are getting to a point where it's all being taken to an even further aspect. But the one thing we can't forget about though is soul. See, there's we're in the day and age where we have a lot of technical players, like they're really good technically and they can really shred and play a lot of stuff. But soul, the reason I like the music from back in the day, like the 60s and 70s, is because there's a feel that comes from just having that soul and the touch, the way they strum their stuff, the phrasing is stuff that can't be taught. You know what I mean? So that's one thing that I would really love to see come back into the music scene. And that's one thing that I really try to like capture because it's something that you feel inside. All that stuff is why I listen to the older music. And I think that's ultimately like what really got me into like making music of my own, is just to express what I have within me. And even down to like the subtle hits, the stuff you just feel, the stuff that gives you the goosebumps, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it goes with frequencies and everything else. Like we have our sidebar talks where we'll talk about whether it's hip hop, whether it's R&B, rock, where when we look at decades past, it was a craftsmanship. Like not anybody can just get on stage or what we see with a lot of the newer music today. We're like, okay, we'll just upload to SoundCloud, we'll just add this little drum kit or whatever, but there's no soul in it. You hear the stuff, but there's no substance behind it.
And you know what? Yeah, that you got that right. And it's the day and age back then was a lot different. Like you really had to go out and work for it. Like these people were playing hundreds of shows before they even got any form of like major recognitions. And I think like one of my favorite aspects of being a musician is just the contact, like connection with my audience, like whoever they are. Like that's the biggest thing that really keeps me going, is seeing people from all walks of life just join around and start dancing together, and they meet people through like a performance that I'm doing. They'll feel good. I think that kind of feedback is really what makes you play even better as a musician. You know what I mean? And that's actually my favorite part of the whole me being a performer, being a singer songwriter. Like in a way, that is my payment, because I realize that this is something much greater than me. I think that my purpose on the planet is actually in this lifetime is to spread peace and love through music, and to be able to move people, like to get a message online or to have someone come up to me and say, Ty, that this song really made me feel this way, or this one really made my day. This show is one of the best memories I have. When I hear that kind of stuff, that really makes me feel wonderful as a person, you know what I mean? And I take that energy into the songs I write. So that's kind of what Rising has been about. And I know I'm kind of going a little off track right now. But
you good, brother?
Yeah. Just to kind of touch base with why all those legends are still so relevant today. I think it really has to do with their love for humanity and how it wasn't just about the music and being a successful music artist, but I think it was really about them seeing a bigger picture, really just wanting to give They wanted to do something that was fun for them, but also give to other people, write music that others can really relate to, write like positive music in a way. Or the lyrics back then were a lot different than today as well. You know what I mean? Like a lot of their stuff had much more love and soul in it. And so I just have mad respect for them. Yeah,
sure.
Now, you have a brand new single,
this Christmas Feeling.
Yeah, I believe it is out on streaming platforms now.
Yeah, is there?
I will. I'll let you give your, the rap of the math with how that came out.
Man. Yes.
In general, I'm not personally a big fan of Christmas songs, and that's pretty.
What was that? Sorry, I think you cut out.
Personally, like, I'm not a big fan of Christmas songs. That's just my thing. But I think that like that particular tune you have is pretty jamming. You know what I mean?
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. That means a lot to me. Thank you. It has so the way that came about, it was actually back in September. It was like the beginning of September, I think, or no, like the middle of September. And I was thinking to myself, I was like listening to the Paul McCartney Christmas song. It's called Wonderful Christmas Time. And I was
I like that song.
Yeah, isn't that that one? Really
it
good.
Gets flack, but I like it.
Yeah, and like I can't remember, I guess it popped up in my YouTube or something like that. And I was like, let me listen to this. And I was like, you know what, this is really good. And it's not just like a good Christmas song, but it's actually just a good song in general. So I was like, why don't I just like give it a try? And I started toying around with the idea, and I was talking to my friends about it, and they're like, Ty, why don't we write a whole Christmas album? And I'm like, well, that's a lot of work right there, a lot of time. I was like, I'll just write a good single, and it will be I'll put my all into it. So like, it'll be the best, it'll be equal to an album in a sense. So I did that. And the funny thing is, like, I was just coming up with a melody on the keyboard, and then the whole like idea for the song just kind of came to me. So then I set up a little Christmas tree. I went into like my closet, grabbed my Christmas tree, grabbed some Christmas lights out, and I set them up in my basement. And it's like still warm. It's probably still like 80 degrees outside. It's like back in September. So I'm just like making myself feel like it's Christmas. And like for weeks, I'm just like literally feeling like a kid on Christmas morning. Like, there's a way that you can really fool yourself into thinking it's Christmas. So I like started channeling my inner child as well, and started writing the lyrics for it. And the lyrics came about, and then the music came about. And then I actually have like a home studio set up in my basement. So I just started like recording all the vocal harmonies. There's so many vocal tracks in it, because I like triple tracked all the vocal harmonies and everything, and lots of guitar tracks and everything. So I think I finished it like in the beginning of October, and then I started doing like the artwork and everything. But I really kind of wanted to make something to where it would kind of be timeless, so everyone could really just get together, listen to it, and something that's catchy as well. But I also wanted to make something that, like, if I do take like the lyrics away from it, I wanted it to still be like a really good song by itself.
For sure.
And that was like my biggest thing about it. I was like, you know what, if I take away the vocals and everything, like, this still will be a really good song. So I was just in that feeling. I mean, I still do have that Christmas feeling in a way, you know what I mean? Just feeling like good things are coming, you know, all the time. And it's a cool thing. And I was walking around like telling everyone, I was like, you know what, if you just like trick your mind into thinking that like it is Christmas, you can really channel a higher vibration, you know what I mean? Like, you don't just have to feel that way on Christmas. You can actually kind of trick yourself into thinking that you don't necessarily have to think it's Christmas, but you can have that feeling of joy and wonder, you know what I mean?
All the
throughout
feelings it's supposed to, not
right,
not the commerce part, but the actual,
right,
just the sentimentality of it, the good feelings, the family, and
and the gratitude and everything. And you feel that way, and like once you start feeling that way, you start attracting more into your life too. You start attracting stuff that's on that frequency of like, the universe is like, okay, well, you're grateful for that. You know, you feel it in your soul. Then here's this. They'll send this your way. Or like, you're feeling love. Here's some more love. You know what I mean? Because I believe that everything that we attract in our life all comes from how we feel inside.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So before we close on out here, man,
Yep.
Do you have any dates or any releases, man? Audience, the people should.
Yeah. So 1 second. I just gotta put my phone on the charger before it dies. But so the cool thing is that I do have some shows lined up. I think these shows right here are kind of like more like Delaware shows. But I have a big show. I'm actually part of this thing. I kind of wanted to promote this a little bit. It takes place not until like March, but it's called Shine a Light. And it is it takes place at the Queen in Wilmington, Delaware. And it's a pretty like big musical venue. And every year they do it, and they shine a light on a certain year of musical history. Like, so this year it's gonna be, I think it's like 1983 or something like that, or 81. And we'll be doing all like the biggest songs from that year. And it's like all nice. the local musicians that get together, like some of the best musicians in the area all get together. I think there's like 70 something musicians in it.
Oh wow.
And we'll have a rehearsal soon for this. And so that one's not until like March. I just figured I would throw that one out there.
Is that like a couple days, or is that it's like a 2-day event?
I think it's actually a 1-day event. Wow. I have my headphones on. Headphones weren't even plugged in. That's funny. But yeah, so I think that's a 1-day event. But yeah, so I think it's like March 23rd. So I wanted to throw that out there. Also, I do have a gig next week in Delaware. And that one is at a restaurant. It's a British restaurant called Stoney's. Stoney's British Pub. And the cool thing about Stoney's is actually that I think they were on the Guy Fieri show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they were on there. Like a cooking show.
Yeah, Flavor Town. Yeah.
The owner of it, his name is Mike Stone. And he actually used to work for Virgin Records back in the day. He was a promoter. So like when you go in there, there's all these pictures of him and all these famous like music artists from back in the day, like David Bowie, Alice Cooper, the Police, lots of like big names in the music industry. So it's just cool to have a place like that that's local in Delaware to play at.
For sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
And on the 29th, I have another show as well. That one's at a place in kind of like downtown Wilmington. It's called Daco. And it's like, it's kind of like a big cafeteria style place, like lots of different like restaurants and whatnot. And they have live music there as well. So I'll be there with my band doing some stuff. And I'm thinking about booking something really big for, what is it? Probably for like New Year's, like just kind of get something really big for that. And what do I have next week? Sorry, like sometimes I always like write down all of my venue dates. So let me just go in my notes on my phone. 1 second.
And while you're doing that, like all these dates, like you post them on your social media. Like, is this something that you'll post and it'll be listed? And yeah, just to save you some time.
Mathis, 97 on Instagram.
All right. Oh, Time Mathis 97 on Instagram. So any show you're doing, like it'll be you'll have it listed.
Oh yeah, it'll all be posted on there.
Okay. So
all
right, so yeah, we'll save you some research time here.
Right.
But yeah, because so Time Mathis 97.
I think that was everything though.
Okay. Well, either way, as more stuff comes in, people will know where to go, where to find stuff as time goes on. Definitely. So
because I know there will definitely be more like Philly gigs too for this month.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna probably see if I can get some more So Far gigs in Philly this month as well. Because like City Winery, that was a really cool spot.
Yeah, definitely dope.
Because like I just came back from New York a few days ago. I was up there, and then last night I played at Oddity Bar in Wilmington, and that was a lot of fun. And yeah, it's just super cool. Like I've been doing a lot more artwork as well. So like I've been selling a lot of different like handbags and like pins. I now have like my own little pins, Mathis pins. Like I design all of my artwork online. Like first I'll kind of do a sketch, and then I'll do like digital paint and everything, like paint it in. Then I'll send it into the pin company, and they'll kind of just like shape it, and then they'll like send them out to me and everything like that. So I just sold like my first batch of pins.
Oh,
and
nice.
have like some stickers with custom artwork on them as well.
Yeah, you get your own promotions like materials going on. That's dope.
Yeah, man. There's a lot of cool. I'm actually gonna put my headphones back in real quick. The volume is really, really low. But yeah, man, it's cool to be able to kind of like use all the skills that I do have, because when I was younger, I would like draw and stuff like that. I would like before music, I was really into like drawing and just painting and stuff. So it's really nice to be able to express myself and like incorporate like the artistic side into the music as well.
Absolutely.
Well, Ty, you're very artistic individual, down to when you were positioning the camera before when this interview started. So we're gonna get out of here, but thank you so much for taking time out and just and you know putting us onto your world and what you got going on. As always, if you guys are looking for him on social media, he's Ty Mathis 97 on Instagram. He's got Rise is his next album, is not yet out, but it will be out in the near future, I believe. And you can find him at Ty Mathis on all streaming platforms, and just Google that name. It'll lead you to everything he would like you to hear. So Ty Mathis, once again, thank you for joining the Tres Leches Radio broadcast. And on that note, everyone have a good rest of the day. You guys enjoy your holidays.
Peace and love, guys.
Thank you.
Peace.
Peace
Thank
and love,
you so
man.
much. Yeah. Thank you, guys.